Stick around to the end of this review of Cave Crave for how you could win one of 3 set codes to get a free copy of Cave Crave on the Quest store.
Good job, son. Managing your breath is key to getting through safely.
Cave crawling is not something I'd ever considered doing in real life, but one of the beauties of VR is you can try and do things that you wouldn't otherwise do, be it cave crawling or taking a walk in space as an astronaut. The game Cave Crave looks to bring cave crawling to the mainstream in VR, and it does it in an interesting way that takes you on a story as you begin your journey in cave crawling. You get pretty limited options at the start. You must go through a structured 3-story piece, and that is designed to help you really as a tutorial. You'll learn all of the main mechanics, all of the pieces of equipment that you're going to need to be able to do a crawl successfully. So you get a light on your head, which you have to use by lifting your hands up. You've got to crawl through tight spaces. Now, I struggled with this mechanism, and after quite a few failures at being able to do this, I opted, once I was offered, for the auto option here with the breathing. Essentially, to get through the tight space, you've got to hold your breath until you get to the other side. If you breathe out and expand your lungs, you risk getting wedged in a tight space. So one of the main dangers of cave crawling. But I just struggled holding the triggers in and moving at the same time. And then, as I say, I just eventually took the option to do this auto. So as all I had to focus on was the crawling. And that's just by this tablet that sort of semi-magically appeared in front of me and very quickly said yes. Main crawling is you put your hands in front of you and drag yourself through. You're doing this physically with your controllers, so from that point of view, you feel like you are actually crawling through. And then, as I say, as we move through the caves, we find pieces of equipment, a hammer. That becomes quite handy because in a couple of the tunnels, we have stalagmites that we need to knock over. So these were just for practice, but the harder you swing your controller in hand, the more damage you can do there. So couple more over there, gave it a bit of a bigger swing, and we did a bit more damage and were able to move them out of the ground completely. As I say, it's a story structure, so once you complete the first cave, you go on to the second story, where you're introduced to chalk.
Look on your right. You can draw with chalk on these boulders. Marking your way could save you from getting lost in the vast web.
And he's not wrong. I did actually find that. There you can see I'd already been through this section. I had a arrow saying I'd gone the other way, so I didn't want to go that way again. And then I went through here. I marked off on the chalk that I'd gone here and the direction I went. And you'll see as I crawl through here, I come across somewhere I've been before, so I know not to go right there because I'd done that previously, and so I take the left tunnel. Although initially I was scrawling and I learnt that you needed to do that. You need to keep your gloves clean because, as in real life, the dirtier they get, the slippier they get. So you get this little tool to, from time to time, just give your gloves a nice clean and make sure you're getting good grip as you move through the tunnels. And you get pillions to climb as well. The first set are pre-done in the rocks, and climbing mechanism pretty standard for VR headsets. You are climbing, lifting your hands up above yourself to lift yourself up, and then you come across some pillions you can use to whack them into the wall and set up your own climb. So that was quite satisfying as well, having to whack that in. And as you saw there, I didn't do it hard enough, so it didn't go into the wall. You've got to give it a bit of a good thump to make sure that it does go in. So this was quite an enjoyable part. The only bit I found was I wasn't too sure where I was climbing because it was actually quite high and you couldn't really see it in the light. So initially I did it on the wrong wall. And you saw there I didn't get my grip right, so I fell back down, but thankfully not a height that was any great danger. And then grip in there and haul yourself up. So game mechanics very good, and your light on your head is also infrared, which allows you to see infrared objects, and in this case we're looking for fossils, and there's a fossil highlighted for us to go and grab and store. So overall, I think the game is very well done. You certainly feel like you're doing a bit of activity to crawl through the caves. The storyline, whilst I understand while it's there, it never really appealed to me, and I'm not that interested in the storyline. It's a dad talking to his son, but I don't really know the backstory, and I'm not that interested in it. But it did serve the purpose of guiding the tutorial and what we needed to be doing in the tutorial. So would I go back and play it again? Yeah, I am going to go back. I actually want to explore some other caves and get into some free roaming. This was quite guided, so I'd like to be able to go to a cave and just try it out where I can get myself lost on my own, and I'm sure I will do that. And I like the mechanics. I like that you've got to make the movements yourself. I like that everything's quite satisfying in the way you move. And I think it's got me interested in cave crawling, and I believe down the track they're going to release some standalone caves as add-ons, so room for expansion within the game. Now, we do have actually some codes to give away. So what we're going to do is, if you subscribe to the channel, make sure you're in public mode for subscribe, so as we can see that you're a subscriber. And if you comment below, we've got 3 sets of codes to give away to the best comments below. So if you haven't, give us a subscribe, give us a comment down below, and we'll pick 3 of those as the 3 best and send them some codes to get a free copy of Cave Crave. But anyway, that's all for this edition of OzVR Pulse, and we'll see you on the next one. And as usual, if you like our content, give us a like, comment and subscribe.